Warning. Entering ecological dead zone. The prospect for survival is fast approaching zero.
Subnautica Below Zero, a survival game published by Unknown Worlds Entertainment, and the sequel, well, something like that, sequel I think, to Subnautica, which came to early access in Steam in January of 2019. But is the game still good in 2025? Well, back in the day it's received generally positive reviews, but many people have complained about it not being like Subnautica enough in the way that it doesn't have the same horror aspects. But what do I think of the game? Is it good? Should you play it? Let's find out. Now, the gameplay of the game, especially initially, is very similar to its predecessor, Subnautica, in that, you find fish to, replenish your hunger, have to get water in the same way, all the crafting materials are the same, everything. So progression is very similar at first, with just a new world to explore. But as you progress, you'll be doing a lot more stuff on land, and the land aspect of the game, which I think is actually weaker, is probably the most unique part of the game. In terms of vehicles, you've still got one from the old game, the prawn suit, which is very good. But now you have the sea truck replacing the sea moth, and you also have the snow fox. I guess there's nothing replacing the Cyclops from the original, but, I thought the Cyclops was kind of clunky, so maybe that's a good thing. And like the original game, you have to scan all of the materials that you want to craft and stuff. So for example, the prawn suit, you gotta find the prawn suit and scan it in order to be able to construct it. In terms of build variety though, I would say there's a lot more potential with the building here. I particularly like the flora you can make in Subnautica Below Zero. And so, in that way, the game's very good. And overall, I think these survival aspects are done very well, and they were very fun. It's sort of the same as Subnautica, but it scratches that survival itch if you have it. Additionally, some of the areas are also very beautiful, like the Crystal Caves towards the end of the game, or even the Lily Pad Islands. It's just, the game looks really good. And it also makes it very immersive too. So for people who say that Subnautica Below Zero isn't immersive, they're wrong. It's not scary or anything, but there'll be times where you're just floating around in your sea truck, just observing the environment. And yeah, the game's really cool for that. And difficulty-wise, the game isn't difficult at all. I mean, don't get me wrong, there are still definitely a lot of creatures that can attack you, but it's a pretty straightforward game, I would say. And you won't end up getting as lost as you did in Subnautica. I think the game does help you a bit more in that regard, but yeah. Now, moving on to the aspect of the game that I liked the least was the story, particularly the dialogue, because it's not the best. Particularly Sam's, it's just jarring and annoying, but also with the dialogue boxes, having that face next to them, even for all the PDAs, is a little bit weird in my opinion. I'm not the biggest fan. And not all of it's bad, like Alan's dialogue in my opinion sounds pretty good. It's just, the human dialogue for the most part I'm not a fan of. And the story as well, I think, diverges from Subnautica quite a lot, maybe too much, just because it feels like you're dealing less with some sort of isolated ocean survival, and that's the focus, and rather the focus is on Altera, the company, doing stuff, even though that's not really relevant to the gameplay at all. And there are basically like two ways the story goes. One is like the way where you escape the planet with Alan, and the other way is curing the disease on the planet. And I actually cured the disease accidentally because I just used one of my penguin robots to find the cure accidentally, and so that worked out pretty well. So what do I think about this game overall? Well, I personally think that a lot of the people saying that it's bad are just wrong. If you like Subnautica, you'll probably like this game. It's not as scary, but it's still very atmospheric like Subnautica. You'll just be floating around and looking at the place. It looks good, it's fun, and it has those survival components in there that scratch that itch if you need it. And of course, all of the unique aspect of Subnautica was like basically everything is underwater, and that is the same with this game. Just progressing through the game feels good, and yeah, it's a great game, to be honest. I'll probably give it like a 7.5 out of 10, I would say. Maybe just a quick side note as well, as another criticism I do have is, you know, even though all of the areas look very good, there are definitely some, like, because they focus a bit more on depth, there are some areas that are very barren, particularly on the land, where there's not really a whole lot going on. But, you know, that's a bit alleviated, I think, by a lot of the good the game does. But yeah, just having a bit more to do on land since they did introduce it here. But overall, the game's very good. I recommend it. It's fun. Especially if you like survival games.
And if they survived?
With you, I am ready to face whatever